what we have. We have a very large great white shark off the coast of North Carolina. Could you tell me a little bit about Contender's movements these days?
Well, yes, Contender is become kind of a famous shark now. He's actually the largest mature male white shark that OSEARCH has ever tagged. And so we've been watching his movements closely. And most recently, as you've noted, he's been off the Cape Fear area, about 45 miles southeast of Cape Fear the last time he pinged in. And he's not alone there. We're noting at least three other of our tag sharks in that general Cape Fear area, which is not unusual. This is an area where white sharks overwinter. That range goes from North Carolina all the way down Georgia, east coast of Florida, and right into the Gulf of Mexico. But it does seem like the area off the Carolinas is pretty popular for these guys.
And why would that be?
Well, there's a number of things that are suitable for white sharks during this time of year. Temperature is a big factor. That's the reason why they spend their summers and their fall up north, off Cape Cod, off Atlantic Canada, and they feed on seals. But then when the temperature drops and gets too cold, they start heading south. They migrate. And that's what the Carolinas and further south gives them is a nice, comfortable water temperature where they don't need to expend too much energy controlling their temperature. But then the other part of that is the food sources. There is a lot of food in those areas. It's a very dynamic area. There's a lot of big fish, a lot of small fish. Right now, I'm hearing that there's a lot of schools of menhaden, and there's a lot of big bluefish in the area, and so that's part of the story, the food source, and they're keying on some of those things. And white sharks are opportunistic feeders. They are generalist feeders. They will feed on whatever might be most abundant. It can be some smaller fish, larger fish, squid, and other things. So they're quite dynamic in their feeding habits.
You've been tracking Contender for a few weeks now. What have you learned from him that maybe you hadn't known from other sharks so far?
Well, Contender is a mature male, and so we're kind of keeping a close eye on him because one of the sort of holy grail questions that we've got is where are white sharks mating? And we're hoping to get more clues by watching his movements and sort of another little piece of the puzzle to figure that out. Based on some indirect evidence, we think that mating occurs somewhere in the southeast United States around late winter, early summer period. So he's offering some clues, and we're going to be watching his movement along with mature females, like another one we have tagged, Goodall, to see if we can better hone in on the area where they may be getting together.
How long do we expect these white sharks to be swimming off the coast of North Carolina?
Typically, their overwintering period, which is where they are right now, will last up until about the beginning of May. And that's when we'll see some of the sharks that, for instance, are in the Gulf of Mexico will start moving up and they'll start staging off the Carolinas right before they make their move north. And as I said, that move north will happen sometime after May. And by middle of summer, most of those sharks will be all either up off of Cape Cod area or up off Atlantic Canada. And
What are,
that's where they'll feed on seals and other large prey items up there and spend their warm months.
what are some of the biggest misconceptions about sharks in general and white sharks in particular?
Well, white sharks, of course, have that reputation as being one of the most dangerous sharks, and statistically, they are. But I think the misconception is that humans are on their menu, and that's certainly not the case. They are actually pretty sophisticated predators. They've evolved to feed on large prey items like seals and take advantage of dead whales and other things. So occasionally, unfortunately, there are cases of mistaken identity where humans are impacted by them, but they're certainly not seeking us out like you might see from movies, well, like Jaws.
And what do you hope to do with all of the information that you're learning from these tracked sharks right now?
We've been tracking white sharks in this part of the world since 2012. And when we put it all together, we're really trying to understand what their life history is, what their movement patterns are, how they use habitat. And if we put all that together, we can ultimately conserve these predators, provide data that will help in their conservation because we need predators. Our oceans need sharks. They are balance keepers of the oceans. And without them, things can unravel and get offset and off balance.
Have you seen any noticeable changes in behavior since you started tracking them?
Well, since we started tracking white sharks in 2012, there has been what we think is a little bit of a shift to more northerly regions. So there may be kind of a range expansion, which could be related to warming seas. But the data is still not complete on that, and we're continuing to monitor those kinds of things. But there is a little bit of a trend of a shift north.
Are you going to continue tagging and tracking sharks going forward?
Absolutely. We are going to continue to tag and track white sharks and other vulnerable species that we would like to, species that are data deficient, like dusky sharks and oceanic white tips, or other species that we have interested in. Hopefully, we can tag more of them and help conserve them.
We see that you've made these sharks and tracking these sharks available to the general public. What's the purpose of that?
Well, our thought process is that you can't love something unless you actually understand it better. And that's what we're hoping to do with things like the Global Shark Tracker. Um, lay people can learn at the same time that scientists do. When the data comes there, and you're seeing the data at the same time we are. So we can all learn together and have a greater appreciation of these animals. And that's going to help protect them in the long run.